How did the Chinese Revolution happen? That's a question a lot of people don't know, they don't understand, and we're going to find the answers here today at the Red Belt Museum in Guizhou, China. This museum highlights the victories of the Long March, which took place from 1935 to 1936. And the Long March, for those of you who don't know, started in Jiangxi and the Fujian border region, when about 130,000 of the Red Army troops were facing near annihilation, and they decided to do a last-ditch effort and relocate to more appropriate, safer ground and adopt new fighting techniques and a whole new path for their revolution.
My name is Christopher Halali, and one of the biggest questions that I've had, especially as a young person learning about the Long March, is how did they deal with logistics? How did they deal with, just the everyday, day-to-day necessities that were needed for such a large group of people traversing such rough terrain and mountainous terrain and, rural terrain? How did they eat? How did they get supplies? So that's something that I'm very interested in, because it's something that sometimes we forget to think about, is how was the relationship of the volunteers and the sort of partisan guerrilla forces with the local population? And how did the local population at all stops and all along the way help those soldiers?
Hello everyone, my name is Dennis Rogatyuk, the International Director of El Ciudadano, and here we are in Guizhou. And one particular question that I've been asking myself ever since coming to China, especially since coming to Guizhou, is what place does the Long March hold in the mindset of the people of Guizhou, the historic memory of that march? The ancestors of many of these peoples, they would have either been part of the march or they would have remembered the Red Army coming through Guizhou, attempting to transform the society, redistributing land among the peasants, redistributing food among them, and really showing a different path towards a different China, a socialist China. And I also would like to find out how that memory relates to the anti-poverty programs that were implemented here in Guizhou and all throughout China.
All right, Chris, what did you think of that?
I mean, I got emotional. I cried. I thought it was very, very moving. I thought one thing that's clear is that when you have an ideology, when you have something that binds the people, when you have something to fight for, when you have a patriotic spirit that no mountain, no swamp, no raging river can squash, can get rid of, then I think that you can achieve anything. And as you've seen here, the enormous achievements in the 1930s led to the achievements in the 1940s up until today. I just think that it's such a heroic history. It's such a beautiful feat of not only Chinese history, but of human history. And I think that modern China is a result of that. And it will continue, as they said, to do many long marches to come. And I think that the future belongs to China in many ways. The future belongs at least to the Chinese model.
We are now in Zunyi City in the Guizhou province of China, and we're actually at the exact location where the Zunyi Conference took place, which was essentially the consolidation of power for Mao Zedong for the first time for the military and political leadership of the Communist Party of China. Previously, the military command was led by Bo Gu and by Otto Braun, and they were pursuing a path of conventional warfare against the Kuomintang led by Chiang Kai-shek, which was proving disastrous. By January of 1935, the Communist Party, the Red Army, had lost half of its troops. And that was just at the very start of this whole operation. Mao's rise came after his sharp critique of this military leadership. He pursued a different path of warfare, that being guerrilla warfare. He's known as the GOAT of guerrilla warfare, the greatest of all time. All the resistance movements that you know today, that you're watching fight all across the world, they learned from Mao Zedong, and they learned from his military thought, which led to the eventual victory, the numerous victories. Over 600 battles were fought in the Long March. Mao did not become the chairman of the party at this time, but it was when he consolidated his military power. He was made a member of the standing committee, and Bo Gu and Otto Braun were essentially sidelined from any sort of supreme military command. So we're in the exact location now where this meeting took place. The meeting lasted 3 days, and we're going to take a look through the museum and through this site to understand and learn more about what took place here and how it changed the course of history and secured the eventual victory of the Chinese Communist Party and ultimately modern China today.
The spirit of the Long March was the perseverance, the discipline, and the sacrifice, for sure. It was the endurance of these volunteers. It was not easy. It was not like a march on flat land. It was a march in combat, under constant fighting, whether in front, in back, raiding. It was traveling through really difficult landscape, mountains, valleys, swamps, grassland, even up into the northern part where they get to the end in Gansu and Shanxi. It's like almost desert. So it's very difficult terrain and very difficult for logistics. I was a soldier. I understand that it's difficult to get water, food. How did they survive? So that perseverance with wounds, with struggles, with the bodily ailments, that kind of perseverance and discipline is something that really distinguishes the volunteers in the Red Army of the Long March versus anyone else in other conventional wars where they have everything, including McDonald's and Burger King in their bases. There was nothing like that here. These Red Army soldiers really sacrificed a lot with very little and were victorious in the end.
Well, here we are at the end of our tour of this magnificent museum dedicated to the conference at Zunyi and dedicated also to the Long March. This momentous undertaking by the Communist Party of China and by the Red Army from 1934 till 1936. A period of time that really defined the place of the Red Army, but also defined the leadership of Chairman Mao Zedong. What we learned here in this on our tour has been truly amazing. Something that's actually hard to learn almost anywhere else, or hard to learn just from history books. The Long March, I believe, represents the tenacity, the fighting spirit of the Red Army, and of course the military brilliance of Chairman Mao Zedong. And in particular, the part dedicated to Zunyi was not just the most important, but also was the most shocking to us. Just because of the sheer number of forces that were the Red Army had to face, the massive casualties that they have to suffer. At one point, losing 30,000 soldiers in a single battle, uncrossing the river. However, despite these challenges, despite the internal problems, which were of course resolved at the Zunyi meeting, the Long March and its continuation, the brilliant maneuvers that the Red Army was able to implement during many of its escapes from the Kuomintang, during the successful strategic retreats, and eventually ending up in Yan'an and joining with the 26th Army in Yan'an, really explains the success of the Chinese Revolution.
That we saw communism with Chinese characteristics fundamentally embraced in a way that changed the course of this country and led to the creation of modern China. We're about to meet with some local party cadres, some veterans from the People's Liberation Army. So this should be very interesting. We're going to get to ask them a few questions and learn from them, because that's why we're here. That's what's so important, learning about the Long March, the history, how China became China, and how we can maybe fix some of the problems in our own country, God willing. I think that everyone should learn from China, and I think that it starts with here, where it all began. What's the biggest lesson that you say that you may have learned in your lives, politically speaking, or in the military, that you'd hope to pass on to the next generation to safeguard the advances that were made for China in your lives?
I was born before the founding of New China, which means my earliest memories are from a time before the country as we know it today even existed. And it is quite remarkable to think about how much has changed since then. Then I'll put it this way. I was born before the founding of New China. My birthplace is just ahead, 50 meters away. My family was completely poor. Back then, we suffered under the oppression of landlords and local tyrants. It wasn't until the founding of New China in 1949 that we truly stood up and became masters of our own lives. At that time, I finally started school. There was no economic support back then. The whole of Zunyi had no economic pillars. The people's lives were very difficult, extremely difficult. Truly, it was a struggle to find the next meal, let alone eat meat. We only had meat during the New Year or other festivals. But now we can really see that Zunyi's development is actually quite impressive, especially for Guizhou. We have a strong industrial sector, a solid foundation in agriculture, and a growing service sector. All kinds of industries are emerging, developing, and truly thriving.
We must educate the next generation to study hard and keep moving forward. We need to raise our standard of living, the people's standard of living, to new heights. Let our national defense and our technology grow even stronger and lead the way in the world. That's all I have to say.
The whole world is just one global village. Since you are also Communist Party members, we are all one family. In the future, we must all work together with one heart to make the whole world better, greater, and move towards more prosperity.
We are here in Guizhou, China. We are here to check out some of the programs that have been implemented to reduce poverty in Guizhou and I'm sure all across the country. It's going to be a beautiful day. We're here with the local farmers headed into the capital city from the villages about 30 minutes outside of the capital. And as I come on this trip, I want to reflect on, of course, the historic Long March and how the principles and the values that were so important to the success of the Long March are embodied today by the party, by the cadre, in implementing these programs which are responsible for lifting millions of people out of poverty all across the country. So we're going to be taking a look at all of this. We're going to get on the ground and try to find out what's going on.
好，我们现在看见的 bus route 252 we're looking at is a customized line specifically for villagers to sell their vegetables. This means Guiyang citizens can enjoy our fresh vegetables in the shortest time possible. The opening of this route is more than just a simple bus line. Actually, it's reflected in the villagers' bright smiles. This is a concrete example of our bus service serving the people. Since this route was officially opened on June 1st, 2024, we've served about 700,000 passenger trips for villagers and transported over 1,800 tons of fruits and vegetables. This kind of route is now present in over 30 relevant villages and towns in Guiyang. After this bus departs at 6:20 and arrives at Dayingpo, there are specific areas designated by enterprises and the local government for them to sell their vegetables. It has brought the urban and rural integration of Guiyang closer. It also reflects that Guiyang is a very warm city, so everyone is welcome to take the route 252 and feel the breath of spring.
You were here all today, this morning. What do you think about this program? We're here in Guizhou and what you're seeing.
I moved to China in 2013 to 2015. I've seen a lot of growth and development. I moved here a year after Xi Jinping took the general secretary position, and he started a massive program of poverty alleviation, which was a continuation of the CPC's goals and multiple 5-year plans. And really, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to see just this city alone. I came to Guiyang in 2015. Just in 10 years, 11 years now, it's completely changed. I couldn't recognize it. Unbelievable. I was driving with our guide, and I was like, none of this was here. He said, it's all new. And he's local. He said, you can't imagine in 10 years, it's like we went 50 years ahead.
We are here in the Guizhou province of China still. Behind me, you can see the Tavasho Bridge. I mean, as an American, I see here, I think, wow, this is amazing. This would take like decades to build, generations to build in the US. But here they build these sorts of bridges just like that. But really, the most incredible thing about where we're at right now is not the bridge. This bridge here is actually named after a man who built a water canal that cascades along the mountains of this region and delivers water to the rural farm workers who live here. Huang Dafa, who built this canal, he was born in 1935, before the establishment of the People's Republic of China. He grew up here in the Guizhou province in the rural region, And this area, before there was a proper canal, before there were these opportunities, right, there was literally nothing. So much nothing that, they were living in eternal droughts. They had no water and they couldn't grow anything. They couldn't even grow rice here. They just grew some potatoes and some basic crops like that, but really had no opportunity whatsoever. It took them 36 years building this water canal. They were chipping away with pickaxes on the mountainside by hand effective. When Huang Dafa was in his 20s, in 1958, he became the secretary of the local Communist Party here. He essentially got elected on the premise of three major promises to the people here. He wanted to bring water, build a road, and provide electricity to the people. And you think, without any sort of, heavy machinery, this is the 1950s, how do you achieve something like that? It just sounded to the people like this was a politician's promise, right? But they were inspired by the likes of old Chinese tales and stories that talked about moving mountains, and anything can be done through persistence. And this was a 39-year project. It spans over 3 mountain ranges, 9 kilometers. They etched this water canal into insane terrain, and through, acts of God almost, they were able to deliver this water to the people in this region.
是吧？我们很荣幸看到你们到我们中国来了，对我们的关心和发展，我们很高兴哈。
He said he's very happy to see you guys and care about the development of China.
Honored to see you.
Honored to see you.
It's beautiful.
他们在前面听过你的事迹，然后
哇，这个带你找个什么哈？
哇！
home. And I'm a executive board member with Chris of the American Communist Party. And we greatly thank you for giving us the honor to be here. And we find your story to be extremely inspiring, heroic, and unthinkable. What was the inspiration that led Mr. Dafa and the other members of the community to embark on such a impossible project as the water canals? Because if you were to tell a group of people in most countries, they'd think it's impossible. Why waste our time? What inspired them to literally move mountains?
I was born in 1935. I've done some small things, a few modest contributions for my hometown. Looking back, our hardworking farmers really had nothing to wear or eat. The main reason was because there was very little water there, almost no water. Water is the lifeblood of agricultural production. Without water, there's no harvest. With water, we have grain. Without it, we have none, as the General Secretary said. In China, we have people from all walks of life, coming from many different backgrounds and experiences. No matter where they are from or what they do, all these people are united by a strong sense of togetherness and community. I came here today really thinking about the small things that I have done for my hometown. As a party member, each of us should always strive to be a good model, to be advanced, and to make sure we do not fall behind. This year, this is our party secretary. He'll tell the stories of rural revitalization.
After our development through this poverty alleviation, our people's pockets have filled up. From 2019, we only had an income of a few thousand yuan. Now it has reached 10,000 yuan. Per capita income was 5,000 plus yuan. Now it's reached 17,000 plus yuan. The people's housing conditions used to be very dilapidated. Now, through poverty alleviation, they've all improved. Our water, electricity, roads, communications, and housing have been fully revitalized. And the people's sense of happiness and security has greatly improved.
We are here at the tallest bridge in the world. It is the Huajiang Gorge Bridge in Guizhou, China. Absolutely stunning, 2 times larger than the tallest bridge in America, 2 times taller than the Eiffel Tower, 1.4 times the size of the Empire State Building. And all of this was built in 3.5 years with a price tag of $280 million. It turned what was a 3 to 4 hour trip into a 3 to 4 minute drive across this bridge. It made it extremely easy for farmers, for rural workers, for migrant workers, for transportation, trade, cargo, livestock transport, transportation, tourists to travel here across this region in Guizhou. Not only is this the tallest bridge in the world, it is also the longest suspension bridge in a mountainous region. And that's part of the difficulty of building this. I'm trying to block the mic as we film because it is so windy. There are other tall bridges in the world, sure, yes, but the terrain here, mountainous terrain, I mean, the wind, there's a giant river below, there's a whole lot of things that could go wrong in building a structure like this, but there was not a single injury, not a single death in the construction of this bridge. What do you think about this, Nelly? Tallest bridge in the world.
That is absolutely amazing. I love it. It's so cool. That's it.
We are here with Secretary Xu, our comrade. She's the secretary of the Huajiang County Party Committee. We're also enjoying some local Huajiang noodles. Is that?
Yes, Huajiang rice noodles.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're spicy.
It's spicy. No, not spicy. Maybe you can have
We'll see. All right, so this is the local cuisine. Huajiang spicy noodle. Very good. Spicy.
Yeah.
It is spicy.
Spicy?
Yes. Very good. We love Guizhou. We love this bridge. We love China. Everyone come check it out. This is such a crazy view.
So we are here at the Huajiang Gorge Bridge at the end of our trip here in Guizhou. And we've had an opportunity to really understand not only the Long March in its history, but the Long March of China through the modern period of time. I posed the question early on, how did the Red Army survive this Long March? How did they deal with their logistics and their supplies? And what I ended up learning from this trip was that, first of all, at the beginning of the Long March, the Red Army took all of their supplies. They took everything that they could possibly carry with them. But as you know, and I'm sure that you will understand from learning the history, the Red Army was being chased by Chiang Kai-shek's troops, by the Kuomintang forces. So what ended up happening was they started to shed off a lot of the non-essential supplies and goods. And then throughout the march, Red Army soldiers and volunteers would take supplies from their fallen comrades and continue on the Long March, as well as taking what little supplies they could get from locals along the way. And I think that there's a lot to learn from the Long March historically, to go through so many hardships, so many struggles, eventually to build a new China and to continue that development, which this bridge symbolizes above me.
The Long March was, of course, one of the most important, fundamental events in the history of modern China. And one of the important aspects, I believe, of this is the historic memory. How that event is being remembered by generations since, and particularly how that event is being commemorated as well. And that answer came to me at the Red Ribbon Museum in Guanyin. A magnificent display of artwork, holographics, and of course of the performances. What is the Long March of today in China? And I thought to myself, these must be the anti-poverty programs. And I believe that the answer to that question as to how have the new anti-poverty programs have impacted China, well, that answer is right above me. The Huajiang Bridge is definitely serves as the example of the achievements of this stage of the transformation and of the rejuvenation of China. We have to remember that anti-poverty development is not just about giving cash to the provinces. It is also about magnificent mega projects, such as this one, that serve to connect provinces between themselves, also to serve as the example of what is humanly possible under a system that exists in China today.
When we first came out to China, I asked the question, how does the Long March and the spirit of the Long March serve the vision and serve the common drive of the people of China today? And I have to say that basically each and every place that we stopped on this trip, each and every street that we turned down, I found my answer. It's a drive that has led people to achieve the unthinkable, the impossible. And people are taught the history of the Long March from a very young age. It is embraced in all the schooling. In China, there's a strong patriotic bond with the revolutionary principles that were instilled through the discipline of the Communist Party and embraced in the unthinkable long march. We see that yesterday when we went to the water canals in the Zunyi greater city region that were built over the span of 36 years, etched by hand in the cadre of the Communist Party of China. We see that with the farmers who are able to establish new trade routes into cities to connect their farms, their lands that they are very proud of, their agricultural goods, with the people in Huajiang, capital city of the Guizhou province. And of course, we see it here today at the Huajiang Gorge Bridge, which is the tallest bridge in the world. But it should not be forgotten, 9 of the top 10 largest bridges in the world are here in China. 5 of the top 10 tallest bridges in the world are here in the Guizhou province. And this is all being done to serve the needs of the farmers, the agricultural workers, the migrant workers, and the citizens who live here. It's unthinkable that a government would ever do anything for 3,000, 5,000 villagers or rural farm workers. But here in China, they do the unthinkable for populations as small as that and to serve their needs. And it's because of the simple principles that were fought for in the Long March. To fight for prosperity, to fight for a government that represents and serves the needs of the people, and overcoming all obstacles, all odds in the process to achieve that goal. When we sat down with the veterans of the People's Liberation Army, I asked this veteran, I asked the cadre who've been a part of this party for 60 years, what is it that made the Long March possible? What is it that makes China possible? And he said, we remember what it was like before. We remember the dark horrors, the darkest times, harassment from the landlords, the torture that was imposed upon us from, the upper echelons of this feudal society. We remember that, and we say never again, we'll never return to that. We're fighting for something better, and that's what they're fighting for today. That is the spirit of the Long March that will be embraced by all Chinese leadership in the future, as it is accountable to the people, something that is unique to this country, socialism with Chinese characteristics, and that's why it is so successful. So I gotta say, I'm absolutely inspired after traveling here. I am left learning so much and also having many more questions, which means I need to come back and learn more.